Welcome in everyone to Cash That Ticket podcast here on the Straight Out of Vegas AM feed. Friday, May the 8th, 2026 here to get into the NBA schedule for Friday. We'll also dive into the Saturday games as well because we do have lines available for those series happening on Saturday. We'll look at some baseball for the weekend as well. Get you guys a coupon code for pregame.com and we'll end it with best bets, of course, for the Friday card. But joining me, as always, to help me break everything down happening in the sporting world, I got Uncle Diamond Dave Essler here with me. Uncle Dave, how's it going, sir?
Well, we got to regroup from last night, or at least I do. I was one of those people that thought Cleveland would fare a little better than they did, so I'm sour on James Harden this morning. But otherwise, we move forward. It happens, right? I mean, if this were easy, anybody would do it. But it was, you know, what was really kind of, I think the numbers are all over the place. I think it closed Pistons minus 2.5 at DraftKings and minus 4 at Circus. So it was kind of all over. I grabbed 3.5 and I figured they'd make a run in the second half, and they actually went ahead in the fourth quarter. And I'm thinking, okay, let's just trade baskets. And obviously that didn't happen down the stretch. And you see that a lot in the NBA, where teams that are down big-ish, if you will, make these runs and come back and get it close, and then they run out of steam. Right? They've exhausted all their energy, and you see it time and time again. So I'll have to take that forward, or I do take that forward, and I make a lot of live bets when things start to flip like that because typically what they're doing is unsustainable from an energy standpoint. So especially on the road. So I guess in hindsight, as I talk this through, I probably should have seen that coming. But today's Friday, so let's hit it.
Yeah, you mentioned the Harden thing, not a movie that I haven't seen before, especially in the playoffs for James Harden dribbling for about 20 seconds and then trying to make something happen to only turn the basketball over there. But both the Pistons and the Thunder do take a commanding 2 games to nothing lead as the series shift to Cleveland and LA, respectively. As I mentioned, we'll get to those games later in the episode here for this for today here. But we do have 2 games on the Friday schedule for the NBA. Let's start there, Uncle Dave. We'll start with the New York Knicks. They have a 2 games to nothing lead against the Sixers. Right now, the Sixers back home in game 3 are a 1.5 point home favorite with a total of 214.5. And this will be one of the more difficult games to handicap, right, Uncle Dave? Just because it's based off of the injury report for both teams here. More so, obviously, with Joel Embiid, who did miss game 2, dealing with, I believe it was a hip issue, and I think it was a knee issue for him. He's officially listed as questionable. But for the New York Knicks side of things, you have 2 key starters, or one starter and one guy off the bench, depending on how they want to use them, questionable for tonight. So OG Anunoby is dealing with a right hamstring strain. He's officially listed as day to day. We'll see if he ends up playing tonight or not. Josh Hart is also questionable for this game here tonight, but he's a true grinder. He's usually out there unless it's something really that's leaving or something that's really bothering him to keep him out of a game. Mitchell Robinson is also on the injury report, but he's listed as probable for the New York Knicks there, Uncle Dave. But I guess the line is a little bit indicative of what these injuries are saying because Philly was catching anywhere from 7.5 to 9.5 in games 1 and games 2. But here they are as a 1.5 point home favorite here. And just going back to game 2, because I know I missed the pod yesterday for some personal reasons, but there was an opportunity for the Sixers to even up this series. I mean, for them to only score 12 points in the fourth quarter there, mind you, holding the Knicks only 19 points, the opportunity was there for them. But here they are. This is obviously a do or die game for the Sixers. Uncle Dave, what are your thoughts on this one?
Tough one. I mean, we got the injuries, as you mentioned, and I don't like to follow the herd like ever, but you got two-thirds of the tickets, two-thirds of the money on Philadelphia. Line flipped. Knicks open. I think you could have got a -2 at one point. Now you're getting a +1.5. Fanatics actually has the Sixers -2. So oftentimes that will happen to a market when sharp bettors that are betting early can get the best of both worlds, right? I mean, you theoretically, if you have a lot of outs, could get +2 either way. So I kind of got to throw the market out the window as far as the side's concerned. Um, Total's intriguing. A lot of tickets on the under, like 80%, and the total's ticking up, and I'm inclined to agree with it. Uh, but I think I'm inclined to agree with the 76ers team total over. Let me grab that number. It is 107.5. And I'm inclined to agree with it only because the Knicks just aren't as good defensively. And, whether Embiid plays or not, I've made the case numerous times that when uh, he is out, the ball doesn't have to go through him. So I think Philadelphia plays a little quicker, right? I
Yep.
mean, and it's game after game. So I'm sitting there thinking, well, is Embiid going to play? Is Embiid not going to play? I mean, they scored 98 and 102 against the Knicks, and you mentioned that they only scored 102 in the last game. And that's scoring 12 points in the fourth quarter, and I don't think that'll happen at home. So if I'm betting this game based on 10:32 a.m. Eastern time information with who we think and who we think isn't going to play, I would have to think the 76ers team total over. I mean, part of me wonders about Hart. I mean, he's got a thumb injury, some sort of thumb thing, and that's just not great for a point guard. So maybe his defense suffers a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I can go no other way here but Philadelphia team total over. I mean, their backs are against the wall. They're probably going to want to speed New York up a little bit, and I think without Embiid, they do. As far as the side, I would 100% pass that because I would expect it to be a last minute game either way. So yeah, I'll pass the side. That's all on you. I'll take Philadelphia team total over.
Yeah, I think for at least a side, if you think the Sixers get off to a quick start, maybe first quarter
Right.
or first half, right? But I mean, you take a look at the half line right now; it's the same as the game line. And I think
Mm-hmm.
we talked about this a couple pods ago that the markets and the books have kind of caught up to this one where teams down 2-0, getting back at home, tend to want to get off to a faster start to stay competitive, at least in the game, but also, to at least win a game in the series. So I think first quarter would be the pivot for me. Maybe take these Sixers in the first quarter. That's also the line is 1.5 for that. I do like your play on the team total for the Sixers here in this game. You mentioned, or we mentioned it, that they only scored 12 points, where they had 90. I think they had 90 exactly, if my math checks out. They're entering the fourth quarter in game two without Joel Embiid. And I think, something we saw with the Lakers last night, mind you, that they were up by 1 point, is that they sped it up a little bit, right, to keep that game competitive. And I think that's what the Sixers are going to have to do here is play even faster, even if Joel Embiid's not out there. You got to pick up the tempo. You have young guys like Maxey. You have, VJ Edgecombe. Paul George, at least at the age of 36, can still get up and down the floor as well. So I think for the Knicks, or at least for the Sixers, to kind of get the Knicks out of their comfort zone and not have their defense set, speed them up a little bit, right? And I think that that's what they're going to have to do. The other glaring thing that has stuck out to me, Uncle Dave, and I'm sure you've noticed this as well, is when you're looking at the team stats for games one and games two, the Knicks have outscored the Sixers by 52 points inside the paint. There's no paint present right now for the Sixers team. In each of the first two games, they've been outscored exactly by 26 points inside the paint there. That's why I think the Knicks have had a lot of success on the offensive side, that they're just getting to the basket at will and inside the paint and getting those easy baskets there. So with all that being said, I do expect to see points here tonight. I think the game does go over. As far as the side, again, I would be early on the Sixers. When it gets to that fourth quarter, they just kind of, tense up or shrink or whatever you want to call it. But I like the Sixers early on. So if you want to take them first quarter -1.5 or first half -1.5, I think they get the job done there. As far as player props, Uncle Dave, I did mention the 3-pointers for Paul George. He had another 5 on 13 attempts in game two. And now the books have adjusted because right now over 2.5 3-pointers made for Paul George is at -149, where we had it at plus odds in game two for Paul George to do that. So I think it would have to be a big maxi game. I know you're a fan of VJ Edgecombe. I think there's a way for him to, also contribute on the offensive side for this Sixers team. And I think it's just gonna have to be a collective effort for me. So that's what I'm looking at as far as props. I know I had Jalen Brunson as my best bet, and that one got hooked where he finished with 26 in that game there. But I wouldn't be surprised if he had another big game. But any props that you're looking at?
No, I don't. I mean, I think the 76ers are a little more predictable, but what does concern me a little bit is they had five guys play over 40 minutes the other night, right? I mean, George played 43, Maxey played 47. So that really also kind of tells me that maybe your first quarter slash first half is probably a solid winner. I mean, I kind of like to take Drummond rebounds over. I mean, he had eight in 15 minutes, and obviously that's sort of Embiid related, if you will.
Yeah.
But I don't see that DraftKings even has a prop up for him. But that would be something I would look at if I were to bet a player prop in this game. So I would have to say, in theory, no. I mean, how many times can you go to the well here? I mean, uh, yeah, I would look at Drummond rebounds over, but I got nothing beyond that I wouldn't be simply throwing a dart.
Yeah, I do see Embiid props up, but again, we'll obviously have to wait for the official status for him here tonight. And usually that'll come maybe an hour to 45 minutes before the game, unless something earlier transpires after shoot around for the Sixers here today. All right, let's get over to the second game of the Friday card, Uncle Dave. We've got the Western Conference semifinal tied up at one game apiece. The San Antonio Spurs, they are traveling to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. Timberwolves currently catching, 4.5 points here with a total of 216 and a half. As far as the injury report does go for this game, very clean for the San Antonio Spurs, and for the Timberwolves, questionable tags on Anthony Edwards, but again, fully expect him to be out there. And then Ayo Dosunmu is also questionable here today for the T-Wolves. The Spurs evened up the series in a blowout fashion, especially coming in that second half, or I think it was more so the second quarter of game two, where they outscored the Timberwolves 35-18. And the rest of the way after the half, they outscored them by, let's see here, 14 points en route to a 38-point victory for the San Antonio Spurs. And Uncle Dave, I mentioned that, this was going to have to be on the point guard, or at least the guard depth for this Spurs team to give, Wimby some depth and taking the load off of him, right? De'Aaron Fox in that game, 16 points for 5 of 10 from the floor. Stephon Castle was also 6 of 10 from the floor for 21 points. So I think that's really what's going to take here. But at least we're shifting our focus to game three. What are your thoughts on this one as Timberwolves are catching 4.5?
Boy, I would love to just take a complete pass on this game. Yeah, really. I mean, I think it's a high variance game, right? I mean, but I look at Minnesota and I look at what they did against Denver, right? I mean, they lost they lost the first game, and then they beat Denver, and then they come back home, 1.5 point favorites, and they go ahead and they wax Denver. So and that was when Denver was still like minus 350 to win the series. So if I'm looking at history, I'm kind of like in Minnesota plus the 4.5. I mean, is it easy to bet against the Spurs? No, it's not. But did they shoot their load in that last game? I mean, they had a point to prove, and they did. Uh, and now it's, I mean, Minnesota's got to still be feeling good. I mean, you saw the Anthony Edwards quote, and
Yeah.
in fairness, I think he's right. I think they just got a little complacent. They stole the first game, and they're like, hey, what, we're going to get the one. So I think that second game blowout was predictable. I am not sure that the tide hasn't swung a little too far here. So I think at home, I mean, Minnesota, in spite of the fact that they got blown out, will recover. That was after the game, emotions are high and yada, yada, yada. We could have, would have, should have done this. And I look at them now and I just go back to the history when they went ahead and took out Denver at home. And in that game, they were a 1.5 point favorite. Now they're getting 4.5. Now, are the Spurs better than Denver? Well, of course they are. But I think that might go a little bit too far. Uh, I know the Spurs would love to sort of make another statement, but home crowd, Minnesota. Maybe we take Minnesota in the first half, home crowd, a little advantage. But I think when the dust settles, Minnesota's got to be feeling pretty confident. They already beat them once, so I would look at and I'm almost choking on it, Minnesota.
Yeah, so Minnesota since the 2023 playoffs, I'll mention this as a trend here, Uncle Dave. I know we don't talk a lot about trends on our podcast here, but Minnesota, when coming off of a loss in the playoffs and they're playing at home, they're 6-2 straight up, 6-2 against a number, and 6-2 towards the over, including 4 straight wins and 4 straight covers. Now it's a small sample, of course, but I wanted to make sure to use at least recent data as far as roster construction and things like that. And if I go back to the 2022 season, 8-3 straight up, 8-3 against the number, 7-4 towards the over. So they're making their adjustments, at home. And I sent you the quote that what Anthony Edwards said about coming out and playing. I don't forgot what the word he mentioned there, but just coming out and playing stronger. And I think now coming off of a loss, I think they do that in this game here. I know that Anthony Edwards has been coming off of the bench, but I do expect him to start at least here tonight in that starting rotation for the Minnesota Timberwolves. But I think you're spot on. I think we take the Wolves early in this game, first quarter, first half. Right now, the spread for both of those right now is first half. T-Wolves catching 1.5 in the first half, and then the first quarter is also 1.5 for this game. So, yeah, with all that being said, Wolves early. I wouldn't be opposed also to maybe a Wolves team total over. I think that they do want to come out and play a little bit faster as well. You don't want to let the Spurs defense get set, right? Because they were one of the best ones, if not top 3 for sure, during the regular season. Obviously, a lot of that is led by, Victor Wembanyama and what he's able to do for you. So, how do you negate that, right? You want to speed him up a little bit. And I think that Wolves come out and do that here. So first quarter team total over or first half team total over, I think would be the look as well to pair that with the T-Wolves early in this game. Any props you looking at, Uncle Dave, in this matchup?
No, sir, but I am all aboard the Minnesota team total over. I mean, they shot 30% from behind the arc, 40% overall. They also missed 15 free throws.
That's wild.
So, factor in they take as many free throws and make half as many more. I mean, that almost gets it there right now. I mean, I think DraftKings has 106.5. There are some 105.5s out there if you look around. They also had 22 turnovers. I think that number regresses. So I'm looking at Minnesota getting over 100 and 5.5, 106.5 points. And I think that's under reported because of the Spurs defense, if you will. But I think at home they have no choice if they want to win the game. So I would agree with you there, and maybe I'll make that an official best bet. Who knows?
Yeah, not an ideal recipe when you're missing 12 free throws, only shooting 30% from the beyond the arc, and have turned 22 turnovers in that game. But again, Denver, I know defensively struggled or has struggled during the regular season and in the playoffs. But you take a look at the 3 home games that Minnesota did play against them. They scored at least 110 points in all 3 of those games: 110, 112, and 113. Now, Spurs, again, like I mentioned, very good and much better defensive team than the Denver Nuggets, but something to keep in mind here. That's something about home cooking, especially in the playoffs. Does mean something here. All right. So let's get over to the Saturday games here before we do get into some MLB for the Friday card. Series shifting back to Cleveland right now. Cleveland is down 2-0, and they are laying 4.5 points here at home with a total of 211.5. Defensively, Detroit has done a fantastic job, especially in the fourth quarter, Uncle Dave, because if our listeners been watching this game or this series in the fourth quarter, if you've been watching as well, that final 5 minutes, the Cleveland offense is just not able to generate anything. And I think their last basket in game 2 yesterday was around, I want to say, the 4 minute mark. After that, they didn't make a single basket. It was just free throws for this Cleveland Cavaliers team. Where on the Detroit side, they're playing a lot of great team basketball. I know Cade had some clutch shots down the stretch, Tobias Harris as well. Duncan Robinson made some big 3 pointers for them as well. But can Cleveland bounce back here in game three at home, laying 4.5, Uncle Dave?
I hope they get their ass kicked. You had to remind me about those. You had to remind me about those last 4 minutes because I did have them last night. I like Cleveland in the first half here. I mean, they got absolutely mauled in the first half. Had to waste a lot of energy in the second half, and obviously wasted a little too much. Thank you again for reminding me how that game finished. But I don't like Cleveland as a team. I mean, if I'm being honest, the Detroit's a better team. I would not be surprised if Detroit won this game. But I have to imagine Harden's going to step up his game. They're at home. He's going to score more than 10 points. He's probably not going to get those silly turnovers. He's probably not going to be minus 15 in the plus minus. And I think if it happens early. So I would have to go ahead and say, right now you can get 2.5 in a couple of places, 3.5 in some places. But if I can get a 2.5 or a 3, I like Cleveland in the first half here, quite a bit actually. I don't see any other edge in this game whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the 4 games that Cleveland won this postseason has all been at home, right? We've talked about multiple times. It's not a secret that how bad this Cleveland team is on the road, and they've also had success at home scoring the basketball as well. So I think this is a smash home run, and I hate using those terms
Yeah,
for Cleveland. But
that's almost saying like it's a lock by my play.
yeah, and I hate saying the word lock as well, but I mean this is a spot of the spots, right? We've mentioned how bad Cleveland has been on the road. It's translated again in the first 2 games here of this Piston series, but they've been good at home and they've won those games by 10 plus points. Except for what was it, game 5, where they won by only 5 points there, Uncle Dave. But outside of that, each of the games that they won against Toronto at home were by 5 or more points. Yes, Detroit obviously being the number 1 seed, a lot better team than Toronto. Defensively, they're better as well. But we see them falter on the road, right? The Pistons, because we saw what Orlando was able to do on their home floor against against the Magic in round 1 there. So yeah, I would lay it here with the Cavs full game minus 4.5. I'd take their team total over as well. This looks a little bit low to me as far as the total does go overall, but I think the team total would be the play here. Excuse me, for the Cavs side of things. That number right now is sitting at 107.5. And as I mentioned, they did score at least 110 in all of their home games against the Raptors in round 1 of that series there. So that's what I've got. Any player props you like in this game? You mentioned Harden to bounce back, but anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, just to sort of underscore the Cavs picks. I mean, the Pistons shot 50% from behind the arc, right? Is that going to happen again? Highly unlikely.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to kind of go square here, but Donovan Mitchell, right? I think I like his PRA over whatever that number might be. I mean, he was the only Cleveland player that had much of a game, 31 points, but he went 2 for 9 from behind the arc, got to the line 9 times, made 7 of them. And I have to think that Harden will not hold on to the ball for 18 seconds before he decides to do something. He is a point guard. And the obvious thing, well, Harden scored 10, let's take his over. That philosophy avenue, if you will, hasn't been profitable. I think Donovan Mitchell has another big game, so I would look at his props over.
Trying to see how Harden has done in the home games for Cleveland. Not that I don't think it matters because he obviously got there at the trade deadline, but I mean he's also playing some heavy minutes as well. He had 18 in game 7 at home, 23 in game 5, then 22 and 28 in games 1 and 2. So, there may be something to that. Right now, his points prop currently over on DraftKings is sitting at, let's see, 19.5. Over is at minus 106 right now. So, That might be a good look here for James Harden. Knock on wood for this game. All right. Second game of the night, Uncle Dave, for Saturday night will be the Oklahoma City Thunder. They will be in LA to take on the Lakers. Thunder laying 8.5 points with a total of 211.5. And best offensive game for the Lakers, probably the second best, last night, where they scored 107 points. They actually had the halftime lead, shockingly enough, by 1 point in that game there, but get their doors blown out in that third quarter where they got outscored 36-22. They gave up 68 points in the second half to the Thunder there, Uncle Dave. But I don't think we see Luka at all in this series. I'd be surprised if he does play in game 3 and game 4, but how effective would he be? But I'm gonna make this one simple. I don't think the Lakers have a chance in this series. I think this is gonna be a 4-0 sweep here. So I'll keep it simple. I'm gonna lay it here with the Oklahoma City Thunder. The numbers 8.5. I mean, I think they win by double digits again. I just don't think there's enough offensively for this Lakers team. As I mentioned, they had their best offensive game of the playoffs in game 2 against Thunder, where they scored 107 points, and that's telling, right? Where I'm saying that they had their best offensive game, scoring 107 points. So that's not going to get it done. Thunder offensively have been very good, and especially if I told you SGA was only going to have about 35 to 40 points total in the series. That just speaks volumes of the depth that this Thunder team has right now offensively, and we know what they can do defensively here. So I'll keep this one short and simple. I'm just gonna close my eyes and lay it with or not close my eyes, but I'm confident I can say I'm gonna lay this number with the Thunder, Uncle Dave.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I just look at the way that last game ended. Obviously, the Lakers, after LeBron, like every single touch, he's
Yep.
whining for a foul. I mean, and then Austin Reeves after the game. I don't know if you saw it, but
Yep.
he went after the refs and had some stuff to say. And I think if it were not a team that whined all the time, maybe they would be able to influence the referees. I think the referees are just tired of that shit. If I'm being honest,
Yeah.
I mean, I think they look for ways to not call them anymore, so they don't. But they don't want to say LeBron has his own whistle. I mean, I think they're done. I mean, we've talked about it on the last podcast about how many minutes is LeBron James playing. A lot every other night for 2 weeks. That's a lot. And do I think Austin Reeves is going to score 31 again? No, I do not.
Yeah.
The dude was minus 20 and plus minus. I just, they have no bench, right? I mean, so it's basically, Reeves or LeBron James. Does Marcus Smart step up? Yeah, perhaps. But is he a game changer? No, or he would still be with the Celtics. So I'm going to go ahead and agree with you. It's tough not to take a team down 0-2, but at home catching more than a touchdown here. But I definitely am of the opinion that Oklahoma City wants no part of a fifth game. Now we're getting into the third round of the playoffs. I think they know how important rest is. So I don't think they screw around. I'm with you. I think the Lakers are done. I mean, I've known the Lakers were going to be done since before this series started, but I think they're done. Even, I mean, they scored 107 points, and you're right, they gave up a $125. They can't play defense. We talk about that ad nauseum. So, the game maybe goes over. I don't know, but no, I think Oklahoma City laying 8.5 is a solid bet.
Yeah, I think I mean, if you're looking at point or total in this game, I think again, I know I've said team total over for every single game. It feels like, and I have actually with the home teams. But I think this time the road team Thunder at 110.5. We mentioned how bad this defense has been, and I think it's starting to get exposed a little bit. But even if you look at game 1, Uncle Dave, right? They scored 108 points, but that was only 47 points that they scored in the second half at Oklahoma City. So, you can't turn the ball over against this team. They're going to play tough defense. And some of the calls that I'll probably say this only for once in my life, that some of the fouls that were on LeBron, at least especially one, should have been, or two. There was two that, well, they called a foul, but they didn't give him the continuation, which should have been a continuation. I think everybody agreed with that. And then where he did get fouled on a layup, and they didn't give him the call as well. But some of the calls that should have been made that didn't get made, I agree with the Lakers on that point. But as far as totality in LeBron's career, I'll agree with you about him whining about every single call there. Player props. The only one that really does stick out to me, but I think the market has adjusted, Uncle Dave, has been Rui Hachimura as far as points props do go. First two games of this series, he's at 18 and 16, but he was averaging 15.8 in that round one series against the Rockets. I was looking at 3-point props, but the only thing that's shying me away from it is that he's not getting enough volume from or volume taking those shots because he's only averaging about, let's see here, about five per game. He's shooting it very efficiently, which also screams regression for me as well. So that was the only one I was looking at. I didn't want to force too much here because, again, we mentioned that if it does turn into a blowout, that's where props do go to die there. So I didn't have much for player props in this game, unless you did, Uncle Dave.
Yeah, I don't have a lot. I mean, I'm kind of looking at Hartenstein points, rebounds over. DeAndre Ayton is 100. He's probably him and LeBron just a little bit past their prime, shall we say. So I don't think that the Lakers' inside presence is anything. And he had 9 rebounds in 27 minutes in that last game, scored 10 points. Now, I don't know what his props will be, but I would look at his points and rebounds over again on Saturday. And, I'm not averse to SGA going over points. I mean, we talk about, betting on star players. Props are always, you're paying a tax, right? But it's SGA, and I think he just takes over the game. So I would look at those two. If I were to, man, we obviously don't have them up yet, so I can't give you a number, but I would most certainly look at those two. I think both of them cash without too much trouble. The only thing that would concern me is if OKC is ahead by 40 and SGA plays 26 minutes. But, that's why they call it gambling.
Yeah, as much as I want to get on SGA props and things like that. I mean, look, he's played 37 and 39 minutes, but it seems like that. Oh, sorry, that's for Rui. For SGA, that they are double teaming him as soon as he crosses the half court line, and that's where
Yeah, my question there is though, okay, that hasn't been working real well. You're down 0-2, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I go back to when Will Chamberlain used to play, right?
Mhm.
I read about this, and he would score like a shit ton of points. But the Celtics always beat them anyway. And somebody asked Red Auerbach. I mean, I know some of our listeners don't know who he was, but somebody asked him, and of course I was not following it back then. But why do they always beat Philadelphia? Well, because we just let Will Chamberlain score up 80 points and stop everybody else. He's going to get his points, and I almost think that the Lakers almost have to go with that strategy if they have any hope. So, I'm kind of counterpointing with you here. Yes, they've been doing that, but it hasn't been working. They got to change something. Yeah. So maybe they don't. I mean, maybe you and I should make a side bet. First half, because we don't know what's going to happen in the second half.
The last thing I was looking at here.
The green pod. Let's push the green button.
Oh yeah. Maybe we should get our own green button. How about that? I was gonna mention Chet steals and blocks. He's at least the first two games of the series. Uncle Dave, he's been very good. 3 blocks and 1 steal in game 1, 2 blocks and 4 steals in game 2. Right now, I see a 2.5 number on steals and blocks combined for Chet at -149. Again, it's a lot of juice there, but I do think that with the way these refs have been swallowing the whistle and letting these guys play a little bit, I do think that, and all the turnovers that also Lakers have been committing, I think Chet can get up and over this number at 2.5 at -149. So I'll give you that one. And that is available right now on DraftKings for this game. All right, so that is all 4 games that we covered here for the next Friday and Saturday card. So a little bit evergreen for you guys to at least to get to the Saturday games as well, if you're going to listen to this later on. Uncle Dave, let's get into some baseball here for the Friday card at least. We got brand new series starting. Should be an exciting weekend of baseball. Just taking a look at the card, anything that does stick out as far as exciting series before I actually get into some bettable action. Braves and Dodgers, that should be a good one starting on Friday night. We've got Cubs and Rangers. We've got Yankees and the Brewers in Milwaukee. AL Central battle with the Tigers and the Royals, and Twins and Guardians, and the Rays and the Red Sox in the AL East. So we got a lot of divisional matchups going on this weekend. But anything that's caught your eye for the Friday card?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of games I really like, and it's almost scary because I almost like too many. I mean, the Phillies, Luzardo, I'm not laying minus 200 with that team. Dollander's actually for the Rockies. He's a pretty good pitcher. A lot of people don't know about him. Total under 7.5. I could almost make a case without looking for the Rockies plus 1.5. Nothing to do with my Rockies team. My Rockies win total. Washington, Miami. I like Snelling. I like Miami there. Um, the market is kind of telling me Nolan McLean's going to lose to Ryan Nelson. Nelson does have an upside. He also has a downside. Could go either way, but the sharp money is certainly on Arizona. Is Griffin Canning for the Padres worth minus 145? No, he's not. The Cardinals are hot. I like the Cardinals at plus money there. Certainly with the total coming down, run line's good. Sale and Sheehan. I mean, okay, it's cheap for Sheehan. It's cheap for Sale. You can get Chris Sale at plus money. No Mookie yet. I would be inclined to think that the Dodgers might lose one there. Lopez Bradish, Athletics. Orioles, I hate both pitchers. The 9.5 juiced under for a total. If it was 9, I would take the over. The Athletics are hitting. I don't like. I would have to take the Athletics. Reed Detmers against Dylan Cease. I mean, Cease is really good. Do not hear what I am not saying. But again, we got a total coming down, and Detmers has shown flashes of brilliance, and he's burned me on more than one occasion. So Angels plus money. Rays, Red Sox, I kind of like the over there. The market is 100% disagreeing with me. Your boy Burrows for the Astros. A little surprising there. That total is coming down. I would have to take, let's keep taking the other team total over. So I would take the Reds team total over. Fried and the Miz, the Yankees in Milwaukee. That'd be a good game to watch if you like low scoring games. I mean, again, it's cheap for Fried, right? Minus 135. But a lot of sharp money's on Miz for plus money. What would I do with that? I don't know. I would have to. Oh boy, that's a tough one. The Yankees haven't seen him. I would have to take Milwaukee in the first 5 and/or the first 5 under. So there you have it. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, you mentioned the Chris Sale getting plus odds there. I think that's something I would be on here tonight in game 1 against the Dodgers. No Ohtani, I don't think is pitching in this series here. So if that would have been a bet on the Braves for sure, maybe over the weekend if he is, but I don't think he will be. It'll be probably next week. You mentioned the obvious one, Mike Burrows on the mound for the Astros. Looking at the Reds team total over right now, that's sitting at 4.5. Every start, and I think we mentioned this in the last time he was pitching, Uncle Dave, for the Astros, that since his second start against the Red Sox, where he won, the Astros have lost now 5 straight starts that he has made, and he's given up at least 5 earned runs in those 4 games, or 4 of the 4 games there, 4 of the 5 games there. The only team that wasn't able to do it again was the Red Sox, but the Red Sox did score 3 against him in that matchup. So I think that the Reds team total over in this game is something I'll definitely be looking at. Mention the under there between the Yankees and the Brewers. I do like that as well. I think that Max Fried did get into some trouble in his last start there, but I think that's a good opportunity for him to bounce back here against the Brewers. And same thing for Mizorowski. Maybe a strikeout prop that may be a little bit square there, but I do like that. Parker Messick has been my guy for the Guardians. He's taking on the Twins here today. He is a minus 149 home favorite, but he's been pitching really, really well in totality of the season for the Guardians there. Mentioned the Red Sox and the Rays. I'd be remiss not to mention that the Rays have won 7 straight games, Uncle Dave, and they're now half a game behind the Yankees in that AL East through about 37 games here. So they've been very, very good, especially at home, 14-4 straight up. Winners of 7 straight, as I mentioned, 9 out of their last 10 there. So And hey, put some respect on the Oakland A's, still the division leading Oakland A's in that AL West division. You're gonna keep touting the Colorado Rockies, Uncle Dave. I'm gonna keep touting the Oakland A's. So we'll have one team each that will be rooting for the National League and the American League respectively there. But um, yeah, I think that's all I've got for the MLB side of things as well. Of course, Cubs have also won 9 games in a row. As I mentioned, they will be in Arlington this weekend, where they are only 8-7 on the road. So keep that in mind for the Chicago Cubs this weekend. All right. Before we do get over to best bets, just want to remind everybody to get over there to pregame.com and do us a favor and use that promo code. What did I mention last time? Was it basis 10? Basis 10. Yeah, that is the promo code for this week. You can get $10 off of anything, including rest of May all access. Get every pick and every sport from your favorite pregame pro all the way through May 31st for less money than normal 7-day all access price. So, as I mentioned, right now it's priced at $99 for the rest of May all access. And if you use that promo code BASES10, BASES10, you can get $10 off of that $99 price and obviously get it down to $89. So, do us a favor, support the podcast here. Use that promo code BASES10 for the rest of the month of May. All access in every single sport from your favorite pregame pro. Price right now at $99, but you can get it down to $89 using that promo code BASES10. All right, Uncle Dave, let's wrap it up strong here for this episode and let's close out the week strong. I know we're coming off an 0-2 best bet podcast, but I'm confident we will turn it around here. Let's get the good juju going. Where are you taking us for your best bet?
Baseball, Miami Marlins. I like them to beat Washington. Why do I like them to beat Washington? Well, working backwards, they have a considerably better bullpen. I know Robby Snelling is making his major league debut tonight. I don't care. This kid was drafted out of high school in the first round, I believe, by the San Diego Padres. And all he's done at Jacksonville this year in AAA is throw 29 innings, give up 11 hits, and strike out 44 batters. Now, one might think that's the anomaly. It's not. In 3 seasons at AAA, in parts of 3 seasons at AAA, he's thrown 98 innings, 64 hits, 132 strikeouts. I don't think that Washington is going to score a lot of runs. He is left-handed. That sort of negates a little bit of James Woods. So I like the Miami Marlins to beat the Washington Nationals tonight in South Florida.
All right. Best bet for Uncle Dave, Miami Marlins against the Nationals here tonight for the baseball card. I'm also going to stick to baseball, Uncle Dave. You were on the Reds, I believe, last week on their team total to go over. I'm going to go right back to them against the Astros and just fade Mike Burrows and these Astros pitching staff. 4.5 right now is the number -110 currently over on DraftKings. And I mean, if you've been sleeping under a rock, and maybe a lot of you are because maybe a lot of people don't start paying attention to baseball till after the NHL playoffs or the NBA or there's something to bet on. But we've been talking about it and how bad this Astros pitching rotation and bullpen has been. I was surprised to see this number at 4.5 at -110 right now. So Reds team total over again. Just continue to fade Mike Burrows. Has a problem with home runs. The bullpen is not going to do him any favors as well. As I mentioned, the last 5 starts that he's made for this Astros team, the opposing team has scored at least 5 runs in 4 of those 5 starts. So it's a combination of him giving up early and also the bullpen coming in and giving it up as well. I know you don't get all 9 at bats, a little bit of a disadvantage there, but I'm certainly I'm confident. I don't want to say I'm certain. I'm confident that the Reds won't need 9 innings here to get that done. I think they could get this done in about 6 to 7 innings, and hopefully we don't have to sweat it out, in the latter part of the game there. So best bet for me, Reds team total over 4.5 against Mike Burrows and the Astros here tonight on Friday, which is going to be the first game that'll start at 6:10 Eastern time on the baseball schedule. All right, I think we went longer than usual just because we did tackle all 4 games here, Uncle Dave. But it was just a lot of fun. Hopefully, we were more importantly able to find some more winners and provide some good information and handicapping for our listeners, Uncle Dave. But anything else you want to mention before we get our weekends rolling?
No, other than I'm with you on Burrows and the Reds props. I mean, you mentioned his home run issues, and this is not the park, Cincinnati,
Yep.
to be having those issues. So I will bet that right now. personally. I may even give it out to clients, but yeah, I 100% agree with you. And hopefully we get all our best bets back on track. But if we don't, we don't. We we do it every day. We do this. We take pride in it. I guess is
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say. Is we actually give a shit whether we give out actionable information or not. And I'm proud to say that we do, and we are winners long term. So let's go 2-0 into Monday.
Yeah. Hopefully we can go 2-0 and continue that positive momentum going into Monday. So with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the weekend. Again, it'll be a lot of sports going on between, basketball, baseball, hockey. Got UFC pay-per-view event this weekend. I know golf is going on as well. So again, be smart out there. Be smart about your bankroll management is what I can say. Is what I always preach to any bettors, no matter what your unit size is. When it comes to sports betting, enjoy it is what I should say. All right, we'll be back on Monday for this podcast, so look out for us then. Till then, enjoy the games here tonight. Good luck with your tickets, and we'll talk to you guys down the road.